人間関係を断捨離しなさい。そうすれば、あなたの運は必ずやあなたに味方し始めます。運というのは天からたまに降ってくる小さな飴玉のようなものではありません。運とは、この天地宇宙を貫いて流れる、巨大で、清らかで、力強い、生命エネルギーの大河そのものなのです。本来、あなたもわしも、生きとし生けるものすべてが、その幸運の大河にゆったりと浮かび、流れに身を任せるだけで、豊かで、輝かしい、実りを置きたい海へと、自然に運ばれていくように、この世は設計されておるのです。それなのに、なぜ、あなたは流れに乗れないのか。なぜ、岸辺で、泥水にまみれているのか。それは、あなたが、その大河の岸辺から伸びてきた、重く、錆びつき、よどんだ泥にまみれた鎖を、ご自身のその身に、幾重にも巻きつけているからに、他なりません。その鎖こそが、あなたの運を腐らせる、不要なる、人間関係なのです。今日は、皆様方に、その幸運の大河の流れをせき止め、あなたの人生を重く縛り付けている、今すぐに断ち切るべき縁について、厳しく、しかし、わしの持つありったけの真心をもってお伝えいたします。耳に痛い話になるやもしれません。もしかすると、あなたが今、しがみついている、その一番近しい人間のことかもしれません。ですがこの痛みを伴う断捨離を実行しない限り、あなたの人生に新しい幸運が流れ込むための神聖なるスペースは永遠に生まれることはないのです。これは単なる助言ではありません。あなたの魂をその重い鎖から解放し、あなたが本来天から与えられた輝かしい運命を取り戻すための宇宙からの愛ある最後通帳であります。この教えを聞き、そしてたった一つでも勇気を持って実践するならば、あなたの人生は明日から、いえ、この話を聞き終えた、まさにこの瞬間から劇的に好転し始めること、わしがこの出口鬼三郎がお約束いたします。覚悟はよろしいですかな。皆様方、この人間関係の断捨離において、まず、何よりも先に、今、この瞬間から、そっと距離を置かねばならぬ人間がおります。それは、口を開けば、不平、不満、そして、愚痴ばかりを、まるで息をするかのように垂れ流す人間です。あなたの周りにも、きっと、思い当たる方がおられるでしょう。会うたびに、天候への不満、世の中への不満、他者への不満、あの人はこうだ、この世は間違っている、自分はこんなにも正しく、こんなにも苦労しているのに、誰も理解してくれない。と、まるで、ご自身が、この世でたった一人の悲劇の主人公であるかのように、不幸の物語を延々と語り続ける人間です。よろしいですか。はっきりと申し上げます。このような人間は、自覚のあるなしにかかわらず、その存在そのものが、周囲の運気を吸い取る歩く薬剤となってしまっているのです。その人間の口から吐き出される、感謝のかけらもない、よどんだ言葉の一つ一つが、目には見えない猛毒となり、あなたの大切な魂に、そして、あなたがこれから育もうとしている幸運の器に、じわじわと、確実に、染み込んでいくのであります。感謝ということを、忘れてしまったのでしょうか。今、こうして、息をしていること、この美しい天の光を、その目で見られること、それ自体が、どれほど、ありがたく、どれほどの奇跡の上に成り立っていることか。世の中には、残念ながら、感謝という心の器が、生まれつき、小さいか、あるいは、ご自身の不平不満によって、自ら、それを叩き割ってしまったかのような人間が、確かに存在するのです。そのような人間は、どれほど豊かな泉のほとりに案内されたとしても、そこから清らかな水を汲み上げる術を知りません。それどころか、その清らかな泉に向かい、平気で、泥を投げ入れ、毒を吐き続けるのです。あなたが、どれほど前向きに生きようと、決意しても、あなたが、どれほど清らかな心で、幸運を呼び込もうと、 努力しても、たった一人、このような人間が、あなたの身近にいるだけで、あなたが苦労して磨き上げた幸運の器は、いとも簡単に、汚され、腐ってしまうのです。美しい花畑に、わざわざ泥水をまき散らす人間を、あなたは、真の友と呼びますか？清潔に磨き上げた、あなたの神聖な家に、土足で上がり込み、ゴミをまき散らしていく人間を、あなたは、心から歓迎いたしますか？しないはずです。それと、全く同じこと、いえ、目に見えない世界のことゆえ、それ以上に深刻なことなのです。不満の言葉とは、この宇宙に対する呪いの言葉に他なりません。私は、このまま不幸であり続けたい、と、高らかに宣言しているのと同じなのです。そして、その呪いの波動は、恐ろしい力で、周囲の人間の運気をも、根こそぎ、奪い去っていきます。もし、あなたが今、そのような人間と、当たり前のように時間を共にし、その毒に満ちた愚痴を、ただ黙って聞き続けているのであれば、それは、あなたが、ご自身の幸運の器に、自ら、毒をつぎ込んでいるのと、何ら変わりはありません。そんなことを続けていて、運が良くなるなどと、思いますか？良くなる道理が、ないのです。ですから、今すぐ、その縁を断捨離するのです。冷たい人間だと思われても、構いません。薄情だと、非難されても、良いのです。まず、あなた自身の人生を、守りなさい。あなたの、たった一度きりの、その尊い人生を、他人の吐き出す毒によって、汚させては、断じてなりません。静かに、距離を取りなさい。会う回数を減らし、そのよどんだ言葉のシャワーを浴びる時間を、減らすのです。あなたが、あなた自身の魂を、清らかに保つこと、それこそが、人間関係を断捨離し、運を味方につけるための、絶対なる、第一歩なのであります。次に、あなたが、きっぱりと断ち切るべきは、平然と、あなたの時間を奪う人間です。これは、一見いたしますと、相手に悪気がないように見えるため、非常に、たちが悪いのです。少しだけと言いながら、何時間も、実りのない無駄話に、あなたを引きずり込む人間、あなたの都合など、一切お構いなしに、自分の暇つぶしのために、あなたを呼び出す人間、よろしいですか？皆様方、わしが、これまでも、口を酸っぱくして申し上げてきたことです。時間とは、一体、何でありましょうか？時間とは、ただ時計の針が刻む、無機質な数字のことでは、ありません。時間とは、あなたの命そのものなのです。あなたに、天から平等に与えられた、かけがえのない、生命のエネルギーの輝き、それが、時間なのです。それを、平気で、無造作に奪うということは、どういう意味か、お分かりになりますか？それは、あなたの命を、あなたの生命エネルギーを、心の底から、軽んじているという、何よりの証拠では、ありませんか？あなたは、ご自身の、尊い命を、ただ同然で、他人に切り売りしているのですよ。そのような、ご自身の命すら粗末に扱う人間のところに、幸運の神様が、微笑みかけると思いますか？宇宙が、そのような人間を、応援してくれると、思いますか？断じて、ありえません。幸運の神様は、ご自身の命、すなわち、ご自身の時間を、この世のどんなダイヤモンドよりも尊く、大切に、そして、真剣に扱っている人間のところにしか、訪れないのです。そういう人間は、他人の時間、すなわち、他人の命も、同じように、尊いものとして、敬意を持って扱います。だからこそ、そこに、深い信用が生まれ、良き縁が、結ばれていくのです。ですが、あなたの時間を平気で奪う人間は、結局のところ、自分自身の時間すら、大切にしてはおりません。自分の人生の目的を見失い、ただ、その場しのぎの快楽や、退屈しのぎのために、貴重な命を、虚しく垂れ流しているのです。そんな、生命エネルギーがダダ漏れになっている人間と、 一緒におれば、どうなるか。あなたの、その貴重なエネルギーまで、根こそぎ、吸い取られてしまいます。まるで、エネルギーの吸血鬼です。あなたの命を吸って、自分の退屈を、紛らわしているに過ぎません。今すぐに、きっぱりと、線を引かねばなりません。私には、私の命を使って、果たさねばならぬ、大切な使命があります。私の時間は、私の命そのものなのです。と、心の中で、そして、時には、はっきりと、言葉にして、宣言するのです。最初は、勇気がいることでしょう。相手は、気分を害するやもしれません。あなたを付き合いが悪いと、非難するやもしれません。良いでは、ありませんか。そのような非難、恐れるに足りません。あなたの人生は、あなたのものです。他人の、退屈しのぎの道具となるために、あなたが、この世に生まれてきたわけでは、断じてない。あなたには、あなたにしか果たせぬ、尊い役割が、必ずあるのです。そのための、神聖なる時間を、他人の無自覚な悪意から、断固として、守り抜きなさい。そうやって、あなたが、ご自身の命を、ご自身の時間を、本気で、大切に、扱い始めたその時、宇宙は、初めて、あなたを、真の人生の主として認め、あなたのために、幸運の扉を、開き始めるのであります。これこそが、断捨離によって運を呼び込む、重要な鍵なのです。そしてな、皆様方、わしが、長期にわたり、この世の、ありとあらゆる人間模様を、見つめ続けてきた中で、これは絶対に、近づいてはならぬ、と断言できる人間がおります。それは、自らの過ちを、決して認めず、すべての責任を、他人や、世の中や、運命のせいにして、逃げ続ける人間です。自分の失敗を、他人のせいにする。自分が満たされないのを、社会のせいにする。自分が不運なのを、育ちや、環境のせいにする。このような人間は、一見すると、か弱く、同情すべき、被害者のように見えるかもしれません。ですがな、その実態は、全く、違います。彼らこそが、ご自身の人生の舵取りを、完全に放棄してしまった。この世で、最も臆病で、最も無責任な人間なのです。よろしいですか。この宇宙の、たった一つの、絶対的な法則を、お教えいたしましょう。それは、自分に起こる、すべての出来事の責任は、例外なく、100% 自分自身にあるという、厳粛な真理です。どれほど、理不尽に思えることでも、どれほど、他人のせいにしたくなるような、出来事であったとしても、その出来事、あなたの人生に引き寄せたのは、他の誰でもない。あなた自身の、過去からの、心のあり方、あなたの波動なのです。この法則を、心の底から、腹の底から、受け入れた人間だけが、ご自身の人生の、真の創造主となることができます。運命に翻弄される奴隷から、運命を自ら切り開く主人へと、生まれ変わることができるのです。ですが、責任転嫁ばかりを繰り返す人間は、この宇宙の大原則に、真っ向から逆らい続けている。自分は悪くない。自分は被害者だ。と叫び続けることで、自ら自分の人生の船を操縦するための大切な舵を荒れ狂う海へと投げ捨ててしまっているのです。そのような人間に、どうして幸運が味方するというのですか。舵のない船がどうやって豊かな大海にたどり着けるというのですか。できる道理がありません。そのような人間は、嵐が来れば船長のせいだと騒ぎ立てて、船が沈みそうになれば、我先に他人を突き飛ばしてでも逃げ出そうとするでしょう。あなたが、もし、そのような人間を友人やパートナーとしてそばに置き続けているのであれば、あなたはご自身の人生の船にわざわざ船底に穴を開ける人間を招き入れているのと全く同じことなのです。その結果、どうなるか。あなたの人生の船も、いずれ、その無責任な人間と共に、 沈んでいく。ただ、それだけのことです。今すぐ、その縁を断捨離するのです。あなたの人生は、あなたのもの。私の人生は、私のもの。私は、私の人生の責任を、すべて、自分で引き受けます。そう、心で強く宣言し、物理的に、距離を取りなさい。運というのはな、己の足で、しっかりと、この大地に立ち、己の人生の責任は、すべて、己で引き受ける。と、覚悟を決めた、勇気ある人間の背中を、力強く、後押ししてくれるものなのです。他人に寄りかかり、文句ばかりを言う人間のところには、幸運の神様も、寄りつくことすら、できないのであります。それが、この世の、厳然たる、理なのです。さらに、これもまた、あなたの運気を、確実に、そして静かに蝕んでいく、断ち切るべき縁であります。それは、陰で、こそこそと、人の悪口や、噂話ばかりを、好む人間です。あなたの前では、にこやかな顔をしていても、あなたがいない場所では、何を言っているか、わかりません。あるいは、あなたの目の前で、さも楽しそうに、ここにいない、他の誰かの、悪口を語る人間です。よろしいですか？そういう人間が、あなたの前で、他人の悪口を言うとき、その人間は、必ず、どこか別の場所で、あなたの悪口も、同じように、語っております。これは、絶対の法則です。わしが、保証いたします。このような人間は、ご自身の心の中に、どす黒い、よどんだ闇を抱えておるのです。他人を貶めることでしか、ご自身の価値を確認することができない、誠に、哀れな人間であります。ですが、哀れだからといって、同情し、そばに置いては、なりません。人を呪わば穴二つ、と、昔から申します。陰口や、悪口というのは、相手を傷つけると同時に、いえ、それ以上に、ご自身の魂に、猛毒を塗り込んでいるのと同じことなのです。言霊、という言葉を、ご存知でしょう。言葉には、魂が宿ります。力が、宿ります。人を貶める、汚れた言葉を、吐き続けている人間の魂が、清らかであるはずが、ありません。その人間の周りには、目には見えませぬが、ヘドロのような、重く、よどんだ空気が、まとわりついておるのです。そんな人間と、一緒に食事をし、一緒に笑い、貴重な時間を、共にするということは、どういうことか。あなたが、自ら、その汚れたヘドロの中に、喜んで、飛び込んでいくようなものなのです。清らかな水、すなわち、幸運のエネルギーはな、汚れた器には、決して、溜まることはないのです。毒を吐く人間と一緒にいて、あなたの幸運の器が、清らかでいられると、思いますか？汚れるに、決まっているでは、ありませんか？あなたが、本当に、心の底から、幸運に愛され、豊かな人生を送りたいと、そう願うのであれば、あなた自身が、まず、一点の曇りもない、清らかな器にならねばなりません。そのためには、汚れた水、すなわち、陰口や悪口を好む人間とは、一切、関わりを持ってはならないのです。これは、あなたの魂の、その尊厳を守るための、聖なる戦いであります。誰に、どう思われようと、構いません。あなたは、あなた自身の、魂の清らかさを、命をかけて、守り抜きなさい。宇宙はな、清らかに、美しく磨き上げられた魂を、決して、見過ごしには、いたしません。必ずや、その清らかな器にふさわしい、最高の幸運を、滝のように、満々と、つぎ込んでくださるのであります。これこそが、断捨離によって得られる、最大の恩恵なのであります。そして、最後に、皆様方、これもまた、あなたの運を、未来から、せき止めてしまう、大変、厄介な人間関係です。それは、未来への希望や、夢や、志を、一切語ろうとせず、会えばいつも、 過ぎ去った過去の自慢話か、あるいは過去の恨み事ばかりを繰り返し語る人間です。わしが若い頃はこれだけのことを成し遂げた。あの時、あいつさえいなければ、私は今頃、昔は本当に良かった。よろしいですか。人生とは、今、この瞬間も、とうとうと未来に向かって流れ続けている、偉大な川の流れ、そのものです。過去を振り返るな、とは申しません。過去から学ぶべきことは山ほどあります。反省も感謝もそのすべてがあなたのかけがえのない宝です。ですが、過去から学び、反省し、感謝したらすぐに顔を上げ、前を向かねばなりません。今、流れゆくこの現在とその先にある未来を見つめねばなりません。それなのに、過去にしか生きていない人間というのは、その偉大な川の流れに、真っ向から逆らい、必死で、もう過ぎ去ってしまった、上流の幻の景色にしがみついているのと同じことです。あるいは、川岸に打ち上げられた、もう枯れてしまった木に、必死で、水をやり続けているようなものです。そんなことをして、花が咲きますか、実が、なりますか、なる道理がありません。ただただ、あなたの貴重な命のエネルギーがその枯れ木に吸い取られ、浪費されていくだけであります。運というのはな、どこに宿るとお思いですか。運はな、常に、今、この瞬間と輝かしい未来にしか宿ることはないのです。過ぎ去ってしまった過去という、その墓場にはな、誇りと後悔しか積もることはないのです。そんな過去という墓場に住み着いてしまった人間と、あなたがどれほど長い時間を共に過ごしたところで、あなたが得られるものは一体何でありましょう。誇りとカビとよどんだ空気だけではありませんか。あなたまで一緒に生きたままその墓場に入りたいのですか。違うはずです。あなたは未来に向かって生きたいはずです。新しい幸運を、新しい出会いを、新しい感動を、その手で掴み取りたいはずです。それならば、未来を語る人間と付き合いなさい。たとえ今、貧しくとも、たとえ今、失敗続きであったとしても、私はこうなりたいのです。私はこんな素晴らしい世界を作りたいのですと、目を輝かせて、未来の希望を語る人間と、時を共にしなさい。そういう人間の周りにはな、未来から希望に満ちた幸運のエネルギーがどんどん流れ込んでまいります。あなたもその輝かしいエネルギーのシャワーを一緒に浴びることができるのです。過去の自慢話は聞き流しなさい。過去の恨み事は相手にしてはなりません。あなたはただ前を向くのです。未来を指さす人間と肩を組むのです。それこそがあなたの運命を過去という呪縛から解き放ち、輝かしい未来へと押し出す唯一にして最強の断捨離なのであります。どうですかな、皆様方。わしが今申し上げてきたあなたの運をせき止める様々な縁、あなたの頭の中にも何人かの顔が浮かんでおられるのではありませんか。耳が痛かったやもしれません。心が深くざわついているやもしれません。そんなことを言われても急に縁を切るなどできません。それがもし家族であったらどうすればよいのですか。長年のお付き合いを無下にはできません。そう思っておられることでしょう。わかります。そのお気持ちは痛いほどわかります。人間は弱いものです。情に流されます。失うことを何よりも恐れる生き物です。ですがな、あえてわしはもう一度あなたに厳しく問わねばなりません。あなたはどちらの人生をお選びになるのですか。その腐った縁を恐れや惰性や義理人情という名の鎖で握りしめたまま、 残りの大切な人生を、ずっと、運の悪い、よどんだ沼の底で、不平不満を、漏らしながら、生きていくのですか。それとも、今、この瞬間、たとえ、一時的に、孤独になることを恐れず、たとえ、血を流すような痛みが、あったとしても、その鎖を、断固として、断ち切り、あなたの魂を、解放し、清らかになった、その両手で、宇宙が、あなたのために、ご用意してくださった、無限の、素晴らしい幸運と、豊かさを、つかみ取る人生を、選ぶのですか。さあ、どちらですか。よろしいですか。人間関係を断捨離するということは、決して、冷たいことでも、薄情なことでも、ありません。むしろ、全く、逆なのです。それは、あなたが、あなた自身の、たった一度しかない、その尊い人生を、最高に、輝かせるために、あなた自身に捧げる、最も、神聖な、儀式なのです。そしてな、それは、あなたが、縁を切ろうとしておる、その相手のためにも、なるのです。あなたが、その人間の、愚痴や、無責任さや、怠惰を、優しさという名の甘やかしで、受け入れ続けている限り、その人間もまた、永遠に、そのよどんだ沼から、自力で、這い上がる機会を、失ってしまうのです。あなたが、きっぱりと、その手を、離すこと、それこそが、その人間が、自分自身の足で、大地に立つための、唯一の、そして、最後にして、最大の、愛であるかも、しれんのです。勇気を、出しなさい。よどんだ沼の水を、一度、すべて、抜きなさい。そこに、天からの、清らかな、新しい流れを、引き込むのです。最初は、泥が、舞い上がるやもしれません。寂しさが、あなたの心を、締め付けるやもしれません。ですがな、その、痛みの先にこそ、あなたが、心の底から、本当に望んでおられた、光り輝く、豊かで、幸運に満ち満ちた、新しい人生が、必ずや、待っておるのです。よろしいですか。運とは、待つものでは、ありません。ただ、祈るだけでも、足りません。運とは、自ら、掴み取り、自ら、引き寄せ、自ら、作り出すものなのです。そのためにはな、まず、その幸運が入ってくるための、スペースを、開けねば、なりません。あなたの、その両手が、古く、腐った縁で、いっぱいに、塞がっておるのであれば、新しい、輝かしい幸運が、そこに入り込む、隙間が、ないでは、ありませんか。今すぐ、あなたの人生を重くし、あなたの運を腐らせている、その不要な、古い、重たい鎖を、見極めなさい。そして、心の中で、静かに今まで、ありがとう。そして、さようならと、感謝を込めて、静かに、しかし、断固として、それを、手放すのです。そうすれば、宇宙は、必ずや、あなたの、その勇気に、応えてくださいます。あなたが、勇気を持って開けた、その、神聖なるスペースに、これでもか、と、申すほどの、あなたが、想像すら、できなかったような、素晴らしく、豊かな、幸運の光を、まるで、雪崩のごとく、つぎ込んでくださるでしょう。わしが、この出口鬼三郎が、わしの、このすべてをかけて、あなたに、お約束、いたします。さあ、顔を、お上げなさい。もう、嘆くのは、終わりです。あなたの人生は、この瞬間から、あなたの、その手で、変えることが、できるのです。今すぐ、その一歩を、踏み出しなさい。わしの言葉が、あなたの魂に、ほんの少しでも、光を灯したのであれば、この偉人の知恵を、あなたの人生を照らす、道しるべの一つとして、ご活用ください。わしは、いつでも、ここで、あなたの、勇気ある決断を、見守っておりますぞ。また、お会いいたしましょう。
We offered this analogy a few weeks ago, and it is such a good analogy to help you to understand that you are offering these vibrations and that you are establishing, without knowing it, a vibrational platform or grid or point of attraction that is filling in. And that you have control over what fills in, not once the momentum of it begins, but before the momentum of it begins. Because when you give your attention to something for as little as 17 seconds, momentum begins. And now another thought like it is going to join it, and another and another and another. And once you cross that 68-second point, you've got a pretty strong point of attraction going on that makes you feel like you want to create your own reality, but that you can't control it. But the reason that you often believe that you cannot control your own reality is because you're not tending to your vibrational frequencies in the beginning of the day when you're fresh and clear. You often just let life occur to you, and whatever happened sort of establishes the grid you're on. And then being on that grid, the momentum gathers, and then you come to a gathering like this where we say you create your own reality, and you say, well, maybe I do, but it doesn't feel like I'm creating my own reality. It feels like reality is creating me. It doesn't feel like I'm thinking my own thoughts. It feels like the thoughts are thinking me. And we say, that's because you're not jumping in and paying attention until there's momentum already established. You want to get out ahead of the manifestation. You want to get out ahead of the momentum. When you find yourself flying high and feeling good, milk it longer until you've established more of a pattern. And it is our promise to you. In time, you will be at this high flying, good feeling, grid frequency often enough that when you dip into a lower one, and you will because stuff happens. You're not blind. You're not deaf. You're not oblivious to what's going on in life. You're watching television. You're talking to your friends. You're aware of what's happening. All kinds of things are going to place you momentarily, temporarily, maybe even for a longer time than you want to, on these lower discs that are going to fill in with more evidence of where you are. That's all just fine. But every chance you get, if you're meditating, if you're making lists of positive aspects, if you're rampaging in appreciation, if you're watching for the things that feel good more and more, you will establish more of a chronic vibrational frequency in that higher frequency so that more of what's in your vortex will begin to fill in, and you will begin to feel two wonderful things. Empowerment, self-empowerment. Because you're in control of your vibration, therefore you're in control of your point of attraction, empowerment, and a feeling of worthiness. And we so want you to have those experiences, those emotions that go so tightly together, because you tend to not tend to your frequency, and then stuff happens that you don't like, and then you make such a wrong assumption that someone has deemed you inappropriate and now is giving you stuff you don't want as punishment for your inappropriateness. And there's nothing like that going on. It's that you've simply chosen a frequency that won't let on what you do want and does let on what you don't want. That's all. You create your own frequency. You create your own momentum. You create your own reality. You do. Don't you love knowing that? We love you knowing that. We love, love, love you knowing that. Well, there are a lot of reasons that it is valuable to know what you want, but we want you to look at it in a way that you don't usually look at it. So, since you are source energy in these physical bodies, and since being that extension of source energy, you've been sifting through the details of life and coming to many conclusions about wanted and unwanted, you've been launching lots of rockets of desire. You've been sifting the contrast just like you knew you would when you came. And you've been setting forth these rockets of desires, these powerful rockets of desires that have been accumulating in what we are calling your vortex of creation. Some of you have been listening to us and you really get what we're talking about. So since this vortex of creation has been accumulating, all of the desires that you have been identifying are already in place and have already achieved a state of being, a vibrational state of being. But what you want already is in that powerful vibrational sense. So since it already is, when we ask you, Do you know what you are wanting? What we're really asking you to do is to focus yourself into compliance, isn't the best word, but into resonance with your desire. When you know what you want, it's not missing. There's not a missing feeling of it. In other words, you're not worried about it. You're not doubting it. When you know what you want, you're vibrationally up to speed with the vortex version, and it is coming into reality for you more and more, into what you want to call tangible reality for you more and more, all day, every day. You following that? Because when you want it, but you're yearning for it, you don't know what you want. You have known it. You've given birth to it. It exists in a vibrational version, but you're not knowing it until there's resonance between you and your desire. And that is, right there, the most important distinction. That's the most important distinction in being a deliberate creator. Once you get that, you've got everything. You've been sifting and sorting. You get that. Sift, sort, sift, sort, sift, sort. Know what you don't want, know what you do want, know what you don't want, know what you do want. That's all perfectly logical. What you do want becoming a vibrational reality to which, in the beginning especially, you're usually, hardly ever, not a vibrational match to. You're not a vibrational match to what you want when you've launched it from your awareness of what you don't want. That's logical, isn't it? But you've got to find a way to become more and more of a vibrational match to this thing that has not yet manifested before it can manifest. And by manifest, we want to say before it can be realized by you, realized, before you can interpret it, before you can be in the right place at the right time, before you can be aware, before you can follow the clues, before you have the sense of it. Esther is laughing last night. She and her sister are in their sleeping room, and they'd been talking, and right before they were falling asleep, from the other side of the room, Esther hears Jeannie say, "Oh," and Esther said, "What?" "Did you bring my hairbrush?" This is really cosmically important, so stay with us. And Esther began to laugh because Jeannie had been there a month ago at her house and had left a round hairbrush on a shelf in the dressing room closet where Esther gets ready and when Jeannie is there when they get ready together. And Esther had not even noticed that brush. It had been in there for a month and Esther had not seen it. It was on a shelf that Esther doesn't use for anything else. There are other things on the shelf and Esther had not even seen it. But yesterday morning as she was packing, she had her suitcase all packed. She had dropped it onto the floor. She was ready to drag it out to the car. And she turned around and looked at the shelf and saw a brush she did not recognize. And Esther thought, I should take that. I might need it. So she put it in her bag. And now, hours later, Jeannie is saying, "Did you bring my brush?" And Esther said, "Yes." And Jeannie said, "I was afraid you didn't get my email." Esther didn't get her email. She got her vibrational mail. She got her cosmic mail. She got her vibrational intention, and in a state of non-resistance. You are all communicating with one another, with this universe, with one another, with this universe, much more vibrationally than you are in any other way. You think you are so good the way you chat it up. You think these social medias, they are so inferior to your vibrational medias, you see. And when you start realizing that you are vibrational transmitters and receivers, but that you've got to tend to your frequency. Now, Esther, she really could care less whether she ever tends to the hairbrush frequency or not. But she does like being in communication with her sister. She does like doing the thing at the right time without knowing the whole story. You see, that's the thing. Esther did not know the whole story. She did not get that email. She's still going to look back in the days of email that she has not read yet. There are hundreds of them. To have fun with that email that surely is in there somewhere. But Esther did not have to get the email before she got the message. And so what we are wanting to submit to you, and we think it's a really wonderful thing as you come into an awareness of this, is that Esther did not know the whole story. She didn't realize Jeannie had left the brush. She didn't realize that Jeannie wanted the brush. She didn't realize that Jeannie had contacted her about the brush. In other words, Esther was oblivious to any of that. Like you are often oblivious to the desires that you hold in any moment in time. They're not on your vibrational radar, so to speak. They're in your vortex. But if you are understanding that you don't have to hold fast in your mind everything that you've ever decided that you want, you don't have to consider all of that data and detail. Frankly, it would drive you a little nuts if you were trying to hold all the information in your mind. But if instead you would just know that the better you feel, the more resonant you are with that communication cloud in the sky. It's the V cloud, the vibrational cloud. There it is for you to tap into. Don't copyright that. If you get to it before Esther does, she'll be really, really mad at you. Soon she'll just be talking with us all alone. There is this vibrational reality that once you learn how to tune to it, not by trying to hold the details of it constant in your mind, but by reaching for the feeling that is the indicator of your resonance with it. Once you are in constant or chronic or even often resonance with this vibrational well-being, then even though you didn't get the email maybe, even though you didn't get the letter, even though you don't even know the person that you're about to rendezvous with, even though you don't have those facts or those details, you'll be right person, right place, right time, often. Because there is a vibrational version of how you are moving toward what's in your vortex. So have you been listening to us for a while? Do you like knowing that you are the creator of your own reality? Yes. Do you like knowing that you are a vibrational being? Now that's big. Yes. You like all this seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, licking stuff. We know you do. We know you like all of that. But do you like knowing that you are a vibrational being? Because when you make peace with the fact that you are vibrational first, then you realize that you are creating on so many levels, and that the most satisfying part of it for you may be when it finally fleshes out into something that you call tangible reality. But there's so much pleasure to be had in molding the vibrational data of life, molding the vibrational clay of life. There's so much satisfaction in that along the way. And sometimes, frequently, chronically, most of the time, you aren't that excited about creating your reality until you can see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. You're not that excited about the concept of what you want, but we want you to be, because there's so much pleasure to be had once you've launched a desire, even before it is shaped up in the way that you and others can see it, but you're in the sensing of it mode, the beginning of the realization of it mode. That's our favorite new word to describe what we know about this business of creating. It's our favorite new word. It's not new to you. It's new in the way we are expressing it in this unfolding of the laws of the universe. Think about what you want and why you want it. You almost always get into the receiving mode. You see, if it is true, and it is, that the energy flowing is the precursor to the manifestations occurring to you, then can you see how when you talk about what and why, rather than what you want and why you don't want that, and what you want and why you don't want that, and what you want and why you don't want that, as you just get that energy flowing. So if that's all you did in a deliberate, focused time, you've flowed enough energy that now law of attraction is going to bring you other things. And as you continue to understand, and we're going to say it right now and today in a way you've never heard us say it before. If you can get it that your work is to extend the flowing of the energy, period. If you can get it that your work is to extend the positive flow of the energy, you can just keep your energy, your thoughts, meaning your focused thoughts, clearer, purer, less contradicted, which means feeling better, feeling better, feeling better, feeling better. The manifestation will just be the next logical step. It just happens that way. And it's so much more good feeling and so much more productive if you take the pleasure from the energy flow. Now, hear this. Can you take the pleasure from the energy flow? Or do you need to take the pleasure from the manifestation? And if you don't first take the pleasure from the energy flow, will there be as much satisfaction in the manifestation? So we're not going to say you can't make things happen. You can. You could move into action today, or you could take the pleasure from the energy flow, and then take the pleasure from the energy flow, and then take the pleasure from the next idea that comes and the next idea that comes, and you could increase your awareness of your worthiness in a way that you have not ever allowed before. And you know why you want to jump into action rather than flow the energy? Because you're looking for the marks on the chart. You're looking for the credit and the approval through the action. So you feel like you have to pay the price. You have to do what hurts. You have to make it happen. And we want you to understand that most of your trying to make it happen keeps you from allowing what you really want to happen. And it's because the things you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch, they're just bigger and bolder. And this is the most important thing about it. You want the manifestation. Oh, let's say that again. You want the manifestation. You were born into a body which is a manifestation. You're just not floating around on clouds. You were born into a manifested body. Not only a body that can be seen and heard and smelled and tasted and touched, but that can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. You couldn't be more manifested. You couldn't be more bloomed and blossomed and full. You see, you are a physical being in a physical environment. And it is right that you want to create physical things in physical environments. We're just telling you how to do it. We're just explaining to you how to bring about the things that you want without the struggle. And it's odd, but the way you have to become more physically focused is to understand that the biggest part of you is non-physical energy. In other words, it's a little bit funny, isn't it, that we're saying, oh, physical humans, be more vibrational and your physicality will be more satisfying. And you say, we don't get this vibrational stuff. We want to move stuff around. We want to do things. We want to say things. We want to touch things. We want to make things happen with our hands. And we say, and you are doing that. But if you want the satisfaction factor, flow the energy first and do only inspired action. You want to say, well, I would like to only do inspired action, but I've got to go to work because if I don't, I won't get the money. I've got to go to work and I've got to feed my kids and I've got to go do this and I've got to go do that. And we say, yes, we acknowledge there are things that you are already locked into, that you've made agreements about, but you could shift the way you think about them. You could look for positive aspects in them. You could make a decision and line up with that decision. And that's all we're asking you to do. We're not asking you to stop action. We're asking you to like the action that you're taking. If you feel you don't have a choice about ceasing an action, then you must find a way of enjoying the action that you're taking. Take the resistance out of the equation and then watch how sweet the sweet spot gets. That is the work. The work is your mood. The work is your attitude. The work is the way your thoughts make you feel. The work is the way you respond to things. But you see, most people are reacting. And in this world, especially this world today, with so much going on, you've got your nose in so many different things. We think you should call it nose book. You've got your nose in so many things that most people are reacting, rather than flowing. You got to get out ahead of it. You just got to feel good. You just got to think the thoughts that are nice to yourself. Think the thoughts that are nice to others. Think the thoughts that your inner being is thinking, because your inner being's got it all lined up, ready for you to receive it, you see. Do you want to receive it, or do you want to do it the hard way? Do you want to say, shouldn't I struggle harder? Shouldn't I pay more of a price? Won't others be jealous if I'm just happy and get it and happy and get it and happy and get it? And we say, you didn't come to pay a price. You came to flow energy. And when you flow energy in two opposing directions, you pay a price, an unnecessary price that you don't have to pay, because you're doing every bit of it to yourself with your contradictory thoughts. And you didn't mean to do it. It's just a habit to tell it like it is. Oh, but you know, if you're telling it like it is, what is can't change. It's like you're saying to the universe, I really want this, but this is how it is. But I'd like it to be different, but it's like this now. But I would like more money, but I don't have enough of it. And it'd be nice if we all had more money, but there's not enough money to go around. And I really don't like how it's going, and things should be better, and somebody should call somebody, and something needs to be done about it. And I'm getting really tired, and I don't like this struggle, and I guess I should try harder, and I guess I maybe better go to bed. But when you're thinking about what you want and the ideas are expanding within you, that's what that being tuned in, tapped in, turned on feels like. That's what inspiration is. That's what eagerness is. That's what happiness is. You know, when you plan something, when you think about something, when you plan your vacations, you say, oh, we're going to go on vacation and we're going to hate it. And we're going to go to places that we've never been before, and we're going to be lost most of the time. We're going to spend money that we don't have. Or do you, at least when you think about vacations, do you try to focus upon things that will please you, you see? Clean up the energy. You can do it. Clean up your energy. Clean up your mouth. You can do it. You can say things that sound good. And if you begin saying things that sound good, after a little while, they'll start sounding normal. Say things that feel good to you when you say them. Think thoughts that feel good to you. So I don't know exactly where I'm going to be, but it's going to be really good, and I'm going to love every bit of it, and I'm going to love figuring it out. This is going to be really fun for the universe to show me what's in my vortex and what I really want. And I'll be able to feel it. I can do a gut check on it. I can tell. You see? We want to find a way to say to you that it's the creating that you came for, not the creation. But the creation must be part of the process for there to be any creating that goes. So it's just another way of saying that the joy is in the journey. It's not only in the manifestation. And so what we really want to say to you is that the more satisfaction that you're finding even before the manifestation, then the more you're milking this creation for more joy, and the more satisfaction you're going to feel when it manifests. We want to go back and revisit for a moment the analogy of Esther and her lions and horses, because so many of our physical friends really believe that it's the accomplishing of the manifestation that is necessary for feeling good. So when they hear a story like this about Esther, who can just pick out something that she wants and write a check for it, they have a hard time understanding why we think that this is an interesting story. Because they're still thinking, hey, if I could just write a check for something, then everything would be better for me, because in the having of it, in the absence of it, if I could just have what I think that I'm wanting, then I would feel better. And we want you to come with us on this journey of deliberate creation to understand that There are so many actions that you want to take, making a phone call instead of chilling out. It's like writing the check. It's like trying to make the action do the work that can't be done before the energy has flowed. So it's a good process if you can find something that is pleasing to you to think about. Because when you focus upon it, because the work is already done in the vortex, and now you're doing the work of finding something pleasant to think about, so you're closing the gap. In that closed gap, in that open valve, in that open circuit, where you'll start translating those vibrations into ideas, you're going to feel wonderful as those ideas flow. Don't you know that? Haven't you ever been involved with a project where it just clicked, clicked? Ideas came to you. You had fun along the way. You were collaborating with others. They were in the flow too. It all felt good. There just didn't seem to be any bumps in the road because you were moving so fast. The bumps didn't matter anyway. That's what deliberate creation feels like. It undoubtedly seems like it would be nice for all of you if you could just take enough time off from all of the responsible things that you feel like you have to do until you could get in sync with the rhythmic flow of the energy so that you could just follow through with inspired things. And we also know that it doesn't feel to you that you need to do that because your children might starve before you come into alignment or. And so we know that you are in an interesting position because you really have to carry on while you are, maybe, if you want to, modifying your perspective to be more thought rather than action, more emotion rather than action, and more inspired action rather than contrived or controlled action. Now, we want to explain exactly how this works. This vortex that we're talking about, you have been building it incrementally. And whether you recognize it or not, we want you to know it's perfect for you. So this vortex has already, between what you've sifted and sorted and what law of attraction has done with your vortex and the vibrational version of it, the majority of the work is done. More than 99% of the creation is done. It isn't about effort factor, it's about alignment factor. So if you can accept that it is already accomplished and that now you have the simple experience of just getting into a chilled place where the natural unfolding is for what you want to begin occurring to you, to begin appearing to you. It's like this, as it's gathering momentum and really gestating in the state of becoming. And you are feeling good mostly just because you want to and because you figure out what kind of thoughts help you feel good and what kind of thoughts don't, and you avoid those that don't and you focus on those that do. So you're feeling good often, which means you're closer and closer and more often in that receptive mode. And because you are, then an idea occurs to you. Oh, and often you say it's an idea of desire. Well, that desire didn't just start when you got the idea. It's been well underway. The fact that you got it means that it's really ready to come to fruition and you're ready to translate it into fruition. So when the idea occurs and you feel that exhilaration, what that means is you let that mature idea flow into your mind, and now manifestation is right around the corner. Really good.